Several years ago, I was going through a very difficult time in my life, and I had the benefit of having these really cool friends of mine, a couple that would invite me over from time to time, and she would always make this incredible dinner. And my favorite was her chicken enchiladas, which were out of this world. But we would sit around and have dinner together, and I'd be talking about what I was going through and really letting out a lot of stuff, a lot of pain, a lot of emotion. And they were so good at listening and encouraging me. And then after a little bit, they'd say, let's clear off the table. Hey, let's go into the living room. And we'd go in there and we'd either watch a comedy show or we'd play a game, or we'd go out and sit out in the jacuzzi outside. And the demeanor and tone of the night was always fun, laughter, and enjoyment. And it really helped me a lot. It taught me some things like, you know what, you don't have to hold on to these negative feelings all the time. It's good to let them out, but it's also good to let them go and then to let something else in. Which leads me to what I want to talk to you about. It's a 3-step process of dealing with and expressing unpleasant emotions. And it goes like this. We have to identify but let out that emotion. So it begins with letting out the unpleasant emotion. If it's anger, frustration, sadness, fear, loneliness, whatever it is, depression, we have to have a release point. It's good if there's someone there we can release to, but it's not necessary. But having a release point where we're saying, this is how I'm feeling, and this is why I'm feeling it, it's kind of processing out with words, allows us to let it go. There's something interesting, though, about having another person there, in that when we are releasing those emotions and someone else is there, we don't feel alone with them. Which brings me to step 2, and that is letting them go. So after letting them out, we want to just then begin to let them go. And that simply says, okay, I've talked about this enough. I've let this out. It's now time for me to let it go. And I think somewhere inside of us we know when it's okay to let it go. I mean, I'm here in my office right now, and I walk people through this process all the time. And I can see as we're processing those emotions, they get to a point where I can see they're shifting and they're saying, okay, this was good. Now I can let that go. And I walk them through that. Now it's time maybe to shift away from that, which takes us to step 3. And step 3 is let something else in. And that something else is something good. So let something else good in. My friends, what they did with me was they just introduced laughter back into my life for that day. Fun, silliness, just stuff to say, Don, I know your life's in a bad place right now. You're going through a hard time, but it's not all bad, right? And so I was able to shift to say, I can have fun even though things are not all in the right place. And I can laugh and I can have a good time. And so for you, it would be also doing something like that. What is it you want to let in after you've let out the anger, the frustration, or whatever that unpleasant emotion is? Sometimes for me, I listen to really good music. I'll put on a comedy show. I'll play a game with a family member. I'll do something that for me really gets me in a good mood. Because it says I say to myself, look, you did a good job right now dealing with those emotions. You let them out, you let them go. Now let's shift into something, more fun. It's a way of rewarding yourself for some good emotional work. I encourage you to try that. I know it'll work for you. It does take a little bit of practice, but if you make that a part of your routine and emotional fitness, you'll find that those portals of emotion stay open and you're releasing things and you're living a good, healthy, emotional life. So I encourage you to try that.